On est rendu maintenant au dernier bloc. Il s'agit des résolutions d'urgence, mais avant de commencer, je vais vous annoncer les résultats de l'élection pour le poste de trésorier. So just before we start the last block, which is the emergency resolutions, I just want to announce the results of the election for the position of treasurer. Your new treasurer is Suzanne Skidmore. So if I could have a motion to destroy the ballots. Okay, moved? Yes? Sorry, is there a point on microphone 2?
There is 2, but I was going to let you finish that before I make my point.
And I'm assuming there's a seconder. Yes? Thank you. All those in favor, destroying the ballots? Opposed? Carried. Microphone numéro 2.
Thank you, Herb Wiseman, Peterborough Kawartha. If Art Blom is still here, I have your health card. You come and find me, and I'll give it back to you.
Okay, thank you. So just as I wanted, sorry. Microphone numéro 4.
Point de privilège, Madame la Présidente. J'aimerais simplement remercier le plancher pour nous avoir accordé votre appui. Thank you so very much for your support, and we look forward to working with all of you.
Merci. Merci, Mathieu. A point on microphone 3.
Point of information, Henry Evans, Tenbring, Hamilton Mountain. I may have missed it, but I didn't notice a very dear and dedicated, the name of a very dear and dedicated activist on the list, and that was Bill Thompson, who sadly passed away due to a fishing accident up north. Bill was a very dedicated and active member of both the Hamilton Mountain Riding Association and then later of the HWAC, Hamilton Ancaster Wentworth Riding Association,
Okay,
and he's sorely missed.
Thank you for honoring him. Microphone 4, I just want to, before I move to any more points, I just want to let you know what is happening. We have 30 minutes for this block, just 30 minutes, and then we're going to have to wrap up. So I just want you to be mindful of that, and the time that we take with points of order and such are going to cut into the amount of time that you have to discuss and adopt the resolutions. So please keep that in mind. Microphone 4.
Franklin Gertler de NDG Westmount. J'aimerais simplement avoir comme information le décompte pour le vote pour le trésorier avant qu'on détruise les bulletins. Merci.
D'accord. Alors, je l'ai ici. Pour Susan Skidmore, 659. Pour Gary Porter, 249. Et il y a 17 bulletins de vote qui n'ont pas pu être comptés. Okay? So now we're ready to start. Microphone 2.
Patrick Rooney, Parkdale High Park. There were 2 other folks who weren't on the in memoriam that we lost in Parkdale this year, Bonnie Briggs and Sheila Kaufman, who are fantastic activists, and I'd just like to recognize that we lost them this year.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'm going to turn it over to Rick to start the report of the Resolutions Committee. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. And bear with us as we try to motor through these resolutions. So the Resolutions Committee received 19 resolutions, 7 of which we deemed consistent with the criteria for emergency resolutions. We also received 2 referrals from this plenary. We know there's a lot of interest in those, and so we have brought those back first, the 2 referrals. And so in terms of number 1, I hope it's on the screen behind me. I'm going to read it very quickly. Be it resolved that Section 3.2 of the NDP policy book will now read as follows. A, the establishment of a Post-Secondary Education Act to guarantee stable funding and protect principles of accessibility, quality, academic freedom, public administration, and not-for-profit delivery. B, increasing post-secondary education transfers to provinces and territories. C, in recognition and respect for Quebec's unique place in the Canadian Federation. If a negotiated agreement cannot be reached with the Quebec government, an NDP government will defer to the Sherbrooke Declaration and respect its rights to withdraw from programs established through the Post-Secondary Education Act with full compensation. D, measures to halt further privatization of education. E, eliminating tuition fees and administrative fees by working in collaboration with provincial governments. F, redirecting existing federal education tax credits into upfront needs-based grants. G, supporting literacy programs in adult education and training. H, eliminating student debt through 0% interest rates for student loans and the creation of debt relief and forgiveness programs. And I, guaranteeing the treaty right to education for First Nations and the right to education for all Métis, Inuit, and non-status Indigenous people by removing funding caps, closing funding gaps, and facilitating Indigenous and decolonization in post-secondary institutions.
Okay. So to ensure that we get to as many resolutions as possible, I'm going to entertain one in favor, one against. If there isn't anyone waiting to speak against, then we'll do two in favor, and then I will test the House, okay? So we'll see how this goes. So I'm going to start at microphone 4.
Okay. Bonjour tout le monde, je m'appelle Jonathan Oschlager. Je viens de Nouvelle-Écosse, où les frais de scolarité sont une cause majeure de l'émigration des jeunes. J'ai dû quitter mon province et déménager à Montréal parce que je ne peux pas payer les frais de scolarité de 14 000 par an pour l'école de droit à Dalhousie. Et je parle à vous en cet accent anglophone terrible de dire « Je ne suis pas seul. I'm not alone." 70% of all new jobs require some form of post-secondary education, but it's never been more expensive as it is now. The average graduate finishes school with $26,000 in debt, and students collectively owe the federal government more than $28 billion. This is not acceptable. That's why 47 EDAs have already voted in support of free education. It's an idea whose time has come, and people are ready to do something big to win something big. Justin Trudeau promised big things, but he told young people just to get used to the job, turn to precarious employment as student debt rises. These massive fees are there because the Liberal government in the 90s decided the federal government has no role in PSE. That is wrong. But do Democrats know that education is a right for all? Jagmeet Singh campaigned for the leadership on a bolder platform for PSC than I would have even asked for myself. It is incredible to see a national political party leader finally calling for free education for all, regardless of ability to pay. Free tuition is coming. Everybody knows this. The Liberals know it too, and they're scared of it. That's why we see Kathleen Wynne promising free tuition, asterisk, asterisk, some conditions apply. But only the NDP will champion the real interests of all students with policies that actually help all students. Free tuition is coming, and as Jack Layton always said, don't let them tell you it can't be done.
Merci. Microphone numéro 2. Une seconde. Il y a un point d'ordre au microphone numéro 3.
Point of order is that the referral was to eliminate the word treaty, and it's still there. That must be a mistake.
I'm going to turn it over to Rick to clarify, but I believe that that was fixed by adding the additional sentence so that they're not mutually exclusive, and I believe is the wording that the delegate actually put forward. But go ahead, Rick.
My understanding is that we considered the wording that was sent to us, and that is incorporated in what's in front of you.
Thank you.
OK. Microphone numéro 2. C'était la même question?
That was my exact point. Thank you.
Parfait. Alors, il n'y a personne qui attend pour se prononcer contre. Microphone numéro 1. Go ahead. Yeah.
Lyra Evans, Ottawa Vanier, University of Ottawa, NDP.
I'm going to be speaking in favor of this resolution because society says that education is the path to a better life, to a better future. Why is it that only the rich, those who already have, are being given access to a better life? My path to a better life was blocked by my financial situation, not my abilities. I saved for 7 years before I could afford my first year of university. I am a straight A honors student in chemistry at the University of Ottawa. How many other young people who are capable of achieving so much more are we losing because they are unable to pay for education? We grew up hearing that young people are the future, but the inaccessibility of post-secondary education leaves tens of thousands unable to reach levels they are capable of. Many jobs that used to require a high school education now require a university degree. In many regards, university has become the new high school, and like the fight for public education, it is the poor who suffer with it. It is also important that we pass unapologetically socialist resolutions like this to show Canadian young people that we, the NDP, care about their issues. Half measures have been brought forward or proposed or implemented by other parties. We need to show that the NDP is willing to stand up for the working class, the poor, and those who have traditionally been marginalized. Thank you.
Merci. So, as noted, I said I would recognize at least 2 speakers before testing the House. Is anyone else waiting to speak? Because if not, we can go right to the vote without voting on whether to vote. OK? Alors, on va passer au vote sur la résolution. Tous ceux et celles en faveur de la résolution, veuillez lever vos cartes, s'il vous plaît. All those in favor? Opposed? Contre? Merci. La résolution est adoptée, puis je crois même à l'unanimité. OK. Merci. Alors, je vais demander à Rick de vous lire la prochaine résolution.
Thank you very much. The next resolution is regarding NAFTA. Yes, so I explained, I hear some questions down here. I explained the committee got 2 referrals from this plenary, and so we're bringing back both of those referrals at the beginning of this process. We just dealt with one. This is the second. Regarding NAFTA, be it resolved that the NDP makes a review of NAFTA Chapter 11 part of its agenda. Be it further resolved that the NDP ensure that the environment, human health, labor rights, and equity takes precedence over the right to free trade under NAFTA and any other past or future economic agreement. Be it further resolved that the following clauses be added to our fair trade policy to show that New Democrats believe in A, commissioning independent studies of trade agreements, expected costs and benefits, ensuring that gender-based analysis is applied and that gender impact assessments are undertaken. B, providing greater transparency during trade negotiations by directly engaging Canadians through consultations and providing regular briefings to parliamentarians between and during all negotiating rounds. C, defending against changes in trade agreements to intellectual property laws, including patent laws that will increase the cost of pharmaceuticals, our cultural protections, and our copyright regime that could undermine Canadian sovereignty, and provisions that challenge the localization of personal data storage and privacy rights. D, retaining Canada's strong net neutrality regime and rejecting all attempts to weaken net neutrality in Canada. E, committing to strong and enforceable currency disciplines within all trade agreements. And F, ensuring that all trade agreements are consistent with the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, and before agreeing to any trade agreement or provisions that could affect Indigenous peoples, the government obtaining their unqualified, free, prior, and informed consent.
Merci. Alors, je commence au microphone numéro 1.
Thank you. Tracy Ramsey, MP for Essex, the international trade critic for the NDP. Thank you. I was up yesterday and I spoke to 415. I'd like to speak a little bit today to the one that we merged it with. This talks about the investor-state dispute settlement provision in Chapter 11 in NAFTA. People, this has made us the most sued country in the world. This bypasses our progressive domestic court system, goes into a secret tribunal where we have paid $219 million out from the federal government. We've also paid an additional $85 million in legal fees to have these cases be tried. What are these cases about? As is mentioned in this particular resolution, they talk about the Ethel Corp case. A large percentage of these cases are about Canadians trying to protect our environment, and that's unacceptable. We have heard many resolutions at this convention about the importance of climate change, addressing this in our country, and really moving forward on progressive regulations and legislation. This regressive piece of not only NAFTA, but many, many trade agreements threatens our ability to do just that. And when we talk about pharmacare and the importance of pharmacare and dental care that we heard yesterday, talking about the health of Canadians, we could be sued under these provisions by corporations for attempting to improve the health of Canadian citizens. And brothers and sisters, that is unacceptable. And it's critical that we stand and we name what this is, because this is a corporate sweetheart provision that allows them to bypass everything that we view, and it's a direct threat to our sovereignty for some of the reasons that I mentioned, but also because there's a chill that happens, and it puts a fear in us to be able to even put forward progressive legislation. Please promote the end of
Oh, sorry. Just so you know, I'm not the one turning off the mics, okay? That happens as soon as the 2 minutes go. I'm not the one doing that, but it's for all of our benefit, as we've agreed to the 2 minutes. I don't see anyone waiting to speak against. Oh, yes, now there is somebody. Sorry, microphone 3.
Sorry, not against. It's a point of personal privilege. Is that okay?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, Molly Craft, Davenport. I think we have to talk about the nation-to-nation panel while we're all in the room, and I want to know why it was scheduled for the last day and everyone got up to leave and went to lunch while we're having conversations about what it means to engage in reconciliation. Okay. And I just really think before we leave today, before we pat ourselves on the back for giving standing ovations to Indigenous folks, we have to have a conversation in the NDP about why that was on the last day and why we all left.
Okay. Thank you for your point, sister. Microphone 4.
Hello, Spencer Gallup, Mississauga Aaron Mills. I want to speak in favor of this because, well, this will be a policy that ensures that the NDP supports trade deals that benefit us all, whether it's in the environment, human health, labor rights, and equality. We need to get this passed, so I urge everyone to vote in favor of this.
OK, merci. Alors, tel qu'on a discuté, je vais passer directement au vote maintenant sur la résolution. Are you waiting to speak against? Okay, sorry, I didn't see anybody waiting to speak against before. I said if we do one in favor, one against, and if there was no one waiting to speak against, I would have a second person in favor. So I'm trying to do the two.
Chair, there was somebody in front of me.
Sorry. Can we have microphone 3? Go ahead.
How are delegates supposed to, when they're in line, waiting to speak to a policy or a resolution?
Go ahead.
Oh,
go
I
ahead.
do? Okay.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
There's just no clock. I thought we were just arguing.
Yeah, there will be.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so thank you. I'm going. This might end up just being a point of information or question for somebody to respond to that understands this issue better. But as I read this and reflected on it yesterday and listened to the speakers, I'm confused, and I'm thinking about the policy process when resolutions talk about the actions of the future NDP government. and the policy documents turn into a platform, that turn into our government mandate. And it may be because I don't understand Chapter 11 of NAFTA, but this reading that the free trade agreement should prioritize rights over free trade, it's not something I disagree with, but I don't understand how a government could do that. And I feel like perhaps I wasn't at this panel. There's a whole bunch of other elements to this resolution that have made it less clear to me, and listening to the Member of Parliament just now really focused it for me on Chapter 11.
20 seconds.
But I think I'm not voting in favor of this because because it's not clear, not because I disagree with the principle. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. There's a point of privilege on the roving mic, and then we'll go to the vote. So go ahead.
Thank you very much. Bev Mundell Atherstone from Lethbridge, Alberta. When we had the memoriam, I noticed that 3 of our members who passed away this past year were not included. And just to mention their names, Dr. Gordon Campbell, Dr. Doug Petherbridge, and Dr. Ian McKenna, all from the Faculty of Education at the University of Lethbridge, all lifelong supporters of the NDP. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll go right to the vote on the resolution. All those in favor of the resolution, please indicate. Tous ceux et celles en faveur, merci. Contre, opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. We have about 10 minutes for the emergency resolutions now. So go ahead, Rick.
The next resolution is related to Colten Boushie. Be it resolved that Canada's New Democrats call on the federal government to amend the Criminal Code of Canada so that the only challenges to prospective jurors be challenges for cause, and that both stand-asides and peremptory challenges be eliminated as recommended by the Manitoba Aboriginal Justice Inquiry in 1991. Be it further resolved that the New Democratic Party demand the federal government call for an immediate national inquiry into the actions of the RCMP from the moment they were alerted to the event into the gross miscarriage of justice in the trial of Gerald Stanley and the shooting death of Colten Boushie.
Merci. Microphone numéro 1.
Bonjour, Heyushka Washderi, Red Sky Woman Indigenous Makwa Dodem Wood Mountain Lakota Nation Treaty 4 Territory, Saskatchewan, and my given name is Leah Gazan, and I'm here to talk about the resolution. You know, last week, Indigenous peoples, and I think many non-Indigenous peoples, shed many, many tears because once again, justice was not achieved for our children. We have an upcoming verdict in the case of Tina Fontaine, which is coming down probably on Tuesday, and people are waiting with bated breath because once again, our children are not going to receive justice. Our children are not disposable, and the very people, the RCMP, that are supposed to protect our kids are part of the problem. And this is also related to the crisis of murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls in Two-Spirit in this country. We need New Democrats to stand by Indigenous people at this time of struggle. With growing tensions around resource extraction, our youth are on the front lines, being targeted by RCMP. We need to have New Democrats support us so that we can also be safe, so that our kids can go on the streets and not be disposed of. Our kids' lives matter. We're mothers, We want safety for our children. We want Colten Boushie's family, including her mother, the treatment of her mother investigated. We deserve to live with dignity and joy in this country, and our children deserve that as well. So I'm asking for your support. If you want and believe in reconciliation, then first you need to start and stand with us and support our children so that they can live safely.
Thank you. Thanks. Microphone 2, you're waiting to speak against the resolution?
Cyril Keeper, Winnipeg. As an Indigenous person, I served on a jury in my hometown, which was trying for Indigenous men for the highest, the most severe crime. I was only able to serve on that jury because at that time I was unemployed and I had some income. In that pool, in that room in which all of the prospective jurors were there were maybe 3 or 4 Indigenous people, myself included. I am hoping that this moment could be used to take action so that Aboriginal people would be in the pool from which the juries would be chosen. And I hope that this moment is not lost by having a long inquiry into how we can rectify the fact that Aboriginal people, Indigenous people, are not in the jury pool and are not in the jury room when decisions are made affecting Indigenous people. Thank you very much.
Merci. So again, we've had 1 speaker in favor and 1 against, so I will go right to the vote on the resolution. Okay? All those in favor of this emergency resolution, please indicate. Thank you. Opposed? Motion carries, I believe, unanimously. Next resolution, please.
The next resolution is related to sexual harassment. Be it resolved that this convention urgently recommits to the work of eliminating sexual harassment in the NDP and in our political system. Be it further resolved that New Democrats collectively commit ourselves to believing and supporting those who bring forward concerns or allegations and to addressing sexual harassment at all levels within our party in a confidential, timely, and respectful way. Be it further resolved that this convention urges all members, and particularly male-identified members, to inform themselves about what constitutes harassment, to listen to and support women who have experienced it, and to help name and disrupt harassing behavior wherever they encounter it. Be it further resolved that New Democrats commit to uplifting the voices of women, particularly women of color, LGBTQ women, trans women, women with disabilities, and Indigenous women in our work to advance gender equality and justice in politics.
Thank you. Just to let you know, we have under 5 minutes. Is there a point on microphone 2 before I move to microphone 4?
Yes, I would like to move that we extend the session by 30 minutes since we didn't go past 5 resolutions.
We've already dealt with that, so we can't. We already dealt with that, and that motion was defeated. So we can't deal with that again. So we will continue with microphone 4. And you'll recall, sorry, sir, that people can't hear you, but you'll recall that in order to deal with that motion today, the notice needed to have been given a day prior, which was, so we cannot extend now. There's, the notice time is done, so we have the time that we have, and the more that we spend debating it, the less time we'll have for the resolution. So I'm going to move right to microphone number 4.
Hi. My name is Arashana Sundaration, and I'm from Scarborough Southwest. I'm proud to call myself an intersectional, socialist, eco-feminist, and have been an advocate for fighting for all women. I'm speaking on supporting the sexual harassment policy. Over the past couple of months, we have heard stories of women coming out with horrific stories of sexual harassment allegations, including inside our own party. I am deeply disappointed to see how our party has responded. If we want to be known as a progressive party that cares about everyone, including all women, we need to stand up with our sisters and take action to ensure that we provide a safe space for all women. Sexual harassment or any form of harassment is not a political problem. It's a societal problem and it needs to be addressed. Grassroots movements such as Me Too and Time's Up has addressed the widespread prevalence of sexual assault and harassment in the workplace and is truly revolutionary and inspiring. But we need to do more. We need to implement a policy to protect all women, and I'm asking everyone in this room to support this policy because I'm a firm believer that when women do well, we all do well. Thank you.
Thank you. You waiting to speak against the resolution? Yes, go ahead then.
Yeah, Susan Gapka, Toronto Centre. Losing my voice. I'm not completely opposing the motion. I don't want to stand in way of it being adopted. It's extremely important that we move forward on this. I'm pointing out there's an inconsistency in language because it's an emergency resolution we can't amend. So I think this needs to be taken up in the work of the committees moving forward. But in the further resolved, we talk about LGBTQ women and trans women. We also have C16 and protection on gender expression. Yet up above, we have the terminology of male identified. And I would urge this federal executive and federal council moving forward to really clearly change the language from essentialist male and female language into men, women, and non-binary people. We talked about this earlier. It keeps popping up. I just want to, yeah, let's just remind them that this is really important. I want to point that out. I'm going to turn the mic over. I'm not opposing the motion. I just want us to do so much better on language and the power of language.
So we've had two speakers on the motion and under a minute left, so we will go right to the vote. Sorry, at microphone 1, we'll go right to the vote on this resolution as we are out of time. All those in favor of this emergency resolution, please indicate. Thank you. Opposed? Thank you. The motion carries, I believe, unanimously. So just before everyone starts to go, the program isn't quite done yet. Two things. Any resolutions that we have not had a chance to deal with, including the emergency resolutions, are automatically referred to federal council, so they don't just disappear. And also wanted to announce that the Labour Vice President, your new Labour Vice President is Marie Clark Walker. We neglected to announce our result earlier, so congratulations. Where are you? Somewhere down there. Marie. Okay, so that is it for us, and thank you, everyone, for your patience today.